I'd now like to welcome Sue Hinton to deliver her presentation. Sue's from the Tasmanian Institute of Agriculture, and she's here to talk to us about the Water for Profit program. If you'd like to read a little bit more about Sue's bio, then I'd encourage you to jump onto the app and look her up, as with all of our other presenters for this session. So thanks, Sue.
I'm a little short, I need that down about a foot. Anyway, okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about, I guess, an approach that we made called participatory action on a program that we ran called Water for Profit. So this was a 3.5-year program that we ran in conjunction with our partners, Macquarie Franklin and the TFGA and the Tasmanian government. So it was a program about engaging farmers in upskilling around how they use water on farm. So we got them involved in actually helping to define where they had gaps in skills and knowledge, and then how and what we delivered to them as the program went on. So as I said, it was about what skills they lacked, and to help with that, at the beginning of each year we sat down with the groups of farmers and facilitated a meeting to work out where they thought they needed to learn stuff, and then we actually did a plan for the year of what we were going to deliver. It was quite a diverse program, and not each of the groups did the same thing. We had some common activities, but we also had some quite diverse things that we did, from I guess, large programs to little programs. So the way that the actual Water for Profit program was structured, there were 4 sub-programs within it. The first of these was the farmer groups that I'll talk about today with the peer-to-peer learning, and that was delivered by TIA and Macquarie Franklin. The second was around irrigation and cropping decision support tools that we delivered from TIA, and then we had some soil management practices and approaches for managing soil under irrigation. Then the fourth one, which was the soil mapping and information and cropping enterprises and decision making, that was actually managed by a group in the land management branch of the Department of Primary Industries. But we did work in closely with those guys as well, and so wherever we could, we sort of shared resources and activities and supported each other throughout the program. So we got together 5 farmer groups, and in the program we ended up with 54 businesses attending the program throughout the course of the project. And these growers represented a fairly significant part of the irrigation land throughout the sort of central Midlands and area. And really the idea was about actually making sure that they use our water resources as efficiently and effectively as they can, so that we're not creating environmental hazards off farm from what they're doing, and also making sure that what they do on farm is profitable and it's not actually having an impact on their soil resources. So I'll just go through a little bit of the, I guess, the theory of what participatory action research is. And it's really a methodology that encourages you to do research and learning all at the same time, so that you're actually, it's an activity that happens together. And it's not only research, it could be extension as well, so it's all about learning and sharing, and so that's the approach that we found worked really well. So it's really a concept that embraces learning by doing, and it's about learning by experience and being able to reflect on what you're doing and hopefully taking home the learnings. So the theory is that people learn by active adaptation of what their existing knowledge is, and that may change in response to their experiences with other people and their environment. And we certainly found that that was very true with the farmers learning from each other and from the many experts and people that we had in. So it's a process of building on experiences that was really, really effective. And I guess the participatory action process really just provided us with a framework which we could utilise for actually, I guess, just formalising this process a little bit more, so that we needed to be accountable to our funders for what we were doing, and so we were able to formalise the process. So I'll now get on to the fun bit about what we actually really did and how it actually worked with our farmers. Now, throughout my talk, you'll see that there's a number of little quotes from actual farmers that were involved in the program. And, these are genuine quotes from genuine farmers that actually were involved. And I think it tells a really good story about the benefits that they gained. So I guess as a project leader, we sat at the end of the project with our team, and one of the keys to the success of the program, we believe, was this participatory action research approach. And why I say that is because it's really interactive. It enables the participants to feel empowered, and it's collaborative. So they actually get buy-in. They come along because you're actually acting upon what it is that they want to know and learn and do. And it's a two-way thing. It's not just some researcher from the uni standing out the front going blah, 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 blah. You're actually doing things that they want to do. It's a lot of the time for us it was hands-on. You might have a lecture for an hour or two, and then you'd go out in the field and dig with a spade, or go and actually look on somebody's farm. So that was a really big key to the success of what we did. And so, as I said before, the farmers were involved in identifying the issues. We identified what the gaps were in their skills and knowledge, and I think that really encouraged them to become really involved in what we were doing. Another positive thing with the way we did it is there was continuous feedback both directions, so that we could actually make sure that we were meeting the needs of the participants and also other stakeholders, and to make sure that we were meeting the needs of our funders as well. So every time we did an activity with these guys, we got feedback, and we could continuously try and improve what we were doing, and that certainly helped as well. And look, it's a bit hard to tell, a 3.5-year project or 3-year project in something as big as changing irrigation practices and looking at what you're doing on farm. You don't necessarily see much change at the end of the project. It might take another 3 to 5 to 10 years or something before you actually see change. But we really think that, this kind of approach led to a really good level of engagement, and we're hoping that over time that might mean that it does lead to actually increased levels of uptake and practice change over time. So one of the other things that we did as part of this project to try and see how we could measure the changes in skills with the farmers that were involved in the grower groups, we actually did an entry survey and asked some questions around some skills to do with irrigation management and a bit of terminology around irrigation and soils and that sort of thing. And then at the end of the 3 years, we did an exit survey. And you can see up there that, we had an increase in all areas. Questions on irrigation scheduling, we went from 50% correct to 75%. Field capacity questions, which is a terminology determining the amount of soil in water, we went from 75% to 100%. Calculations of an applied volume of field water, 88% to 100%. And interestingly, we asked a confidence question about applying the correct amount of water. That went from an average of 5 out of 10 to 6.5 out of 10. So, you know, it's an indication that there was a change in level of skills across the group as we did the program. It'd be nice if we had 100% change in everyone, but anyway, I guess it was one of the interesting things was that we didn't actually have homogenous groups of growers, in that they weren't all at the same level of skill with respect to irrigation. We had some fellows and ladies that were 3rd or 4th generation farmers that had been irrigating, and we had some that had just got new irrigation schemes and it was their 1st or 2nd season of irrigating. And so one of the challenges in presenting a program like this was making sure that you actually were able to deliver something that had some benefit for everybody to come along to the activities. Because, you know, farming businesses, they're very busy folk, and, you know, you've got to have value in what you present for them to actually make it worthwhile them coming off the farm. So we did a series of case studies as well at the end of the farm, and I'll just sort of summarise with a few of the farmer priorities that came out of this. And I guess it seems like I'm talking a lot about soil, but the management of soil is fundamental to getting irrigation right and actually making sure that you do the correct thing with water when you're either expanding irrigation or starting irrigation. So the farmers were all really strong on sustainability being a key focus when they are irrigating, whether it be expanding irrigation or starting irrigation. So managing soil under irrigation for many of the guys in the areas that we dealt with is a real challenge because of the soil variability that we have. Most of the area through the Midlands, Southern Midlands, Bothwell, doesn't have nice uniform soils with uniform characteristics. We have quite variable soils with different water holding capacities, different soil infiltration rates, and a whole lot of different soil characteristics that mean that, you know, just putting a standardised amount of water on the whole paddock is a bit of a challenge because you get different results and different effects when you're actually watering. So, you know, these variable soils, as I said, impact on your water holding capacity and your drainage. Waterlogging in some of these soils is quite a significant issue in patches of paddocks, and, you know, particularly in these variable soils, you might get patches of sandy soils that, you know, are dry. Then you'll come along in another part of the centre pivot and you'll run across a patch where you've got waterlogging. And so managing waterlogging is one of the issues that is a challenge for farmers with irrigation in these soil types. And, you know, there is technology that would help to do that, but they haven't all embraced that technology and they're not all quite at that skill level yet to actually use the technology. So some of the things that they can use, technology called, which I've got up there, VRI, which is variable rate irrigation, which is a technology that enables you to apply different amounts of water in different places across the pivot as it goes around the paddock. But not all farmers use that yet. There's agronomy solutions to, you know, breeding varieties that have resistance to waterlogging. There's engineering solutions looking at drainage and all sorts of other things. So there are solutions, but they don't all work, and you know, it is a bit of a challenge. But pretty important priority for the farmers to look after their soil, because at the end of the day, if they don't look after that, they won't be able to continue to crop those paddocks. So looking after water resources, obviously looking at water use efficiency, and probably more importantly looking at the effectiveness of water applications is an issue. As you can see up here, there's all sorts of technologies and tools and sensors and things to help you with that. And so, you know, we had lots of sessions on sensors, mapping all kind of gear. This is what you want to see happening, a nice irrigator going around, watering a paddock of peas. And I guess business resources for the farmers, long-term profitability is the key. Without long-term profitability, it makes it challenging for them to look after the long-term natural resources. They push the systems harder, which means that, you know, they're not... It's harder to look after the natural resources. So obviously adding water, adding irrigation, you need to be financially sound. And we certainly got some positive feedback from participants that the water for profit enabled them to make more sound decisions. And energy is another really big area, because once you start irrigating, up go your energy costs, because you actually need energy to run these pivots. And once they get going in the summer, most of these guys are running their pivots 24/7. So managing and understanding the balance between energy and water and the costs and the impacts on the crop really do make it important. So I've just got a couple of little testimonials now, you know, just as a bit of a run through from a few of our participants. Just a little example of an activity. Oh, thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Sue, for a very interesting presentation. We've probably got time for one question. I encourage you to catch up with Sue afterwards if you'd like to hear a little bit more about
Payback.
The program. Thanks, Michelle.
What's the capacity, or I guess, for water metering? Is that one way you could measure the efficiency of water usage on farm?
That's how you can measure what goes on farm.
Is that part of the picture?
Not on all farms yet. Julian would probably answer that. I think that's a work in progress, Julian. Yeah.
Sorry, I won't say too much in that context. I'm not here to represent the department in that context, but as a general comment, yeah, it's not a statewide policy at this stage.
Look, Ursula, a lot of guys are actually very conscious of measuring what they're putting out on their paddocks, and there's a lot of pivots and things now that are being set up with sensors and things that will tell them how much water they're actually putting through the machine anyway, so, yeah.
Right. Well, thanks, Sue, again. I've got a small gift here for you, Sue.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your presentation.
Thanks very much.
Great.